our courts today, I want you to consider some figures. 71,411 cases are pending in the Supreme Court of India. 71,000. 59,57,146 cases in high courts across the country. 4 crore 29 lakh cases in lower courts of India. The number, ladies and gentlemen, people waiting for justice in our country is 5 crore and counting. Now, we were just talking about the epics. In the epic Mahabharata, Arjun would focus only on the eye of the fish, the target. Like Arjun, the target for Union Law and Justice Minister Kiren Rijiju is judicial reforms, a task that's easier said than done. May I request Mr. Kiren Rijiju, the 43rd Law and Justice Minister of India, to join us on stage, please. Now, when you look at his sweet smile, please do not be taken in by this sweet smile, because there's a steely resolve behind this sweet smile. And the judges in courts are just realizing this. Minister, you've caused quite a storm in the Supreme Court of India and in the legal fraternity with a statement that you made, and if I may quote you, you said, people are not happy with the collegium system for appointment of judges. Who are the people who are not happy, sir?
Good evening. First of all, I'm not critical about the judiciary or the judges, but I am stating a fact which is a reflection of the thinking of the common people of India. When we talk about system, then immediately what comes to the mind is transparency, accountability. When there is a system in place which is not accountable, which is not transparent, which is opaque, then if the concerned minister doesn't speak out, who else should? So I'm basically stating a fact which is basically a reflection of the thinking of the, especially amongst the lawyers community and the judges also.
The judges themselves realize that the system is opaque. How is the system opaque, and how can transparency come in the system?
See, no system can be 100% perfect. But we definitely should look for the better system and the better practice. If you remember in 2015 when the Parliament of India passed the National Judicial Commission Act, the Supreme Court struck it down. When Supreme Court struck it down, then Supreme Court also should tell what is the better option. They did not tell the better option, but they felt that the old collegium system should continue. It is continuing. I am not satisfied with the present system. I spoke it out. And majority of judges, they agree with me, because what I am saying is fact. I am not saying anything which is contrary to their belief and their understanding.
But that's a very big statement to make, that the judges themselves are not happy with the collegium system. Are you referring to a High Court judge who in 2019 had written a letter to Prime Minister of India and referred to the collegium system? There were reports that words to the effect that this was neither transparent, but there was nepotism and casteism that was being encouraged?
See, I can't be very academic here because it will become very lengthy. But if you see the collegium system, there is a collegium. The senior-most judges, they decide. The Chief Justice and the senior-most, 1, 2. So these 3-member collegium in the High Court, and for Supreme Court, there's 5-member for Supreme Court judges and 3 members for the High Court judges. They decide names on the basis of their understanding about the particular name, and also they consult the consultees. Who are the consultee judges? Now suppose if you are a consultee judge, you will recommend only those names whom you are aware of. They are your acquaintances or they are known to you. Otherwise, you won't be recommending somebody whom you don't know. So the basic fault in the system itself is that you don't recommend, even if he's a qualified, fit, good enough and perfect person to be a judge in High Court or Supreme Court. But you can't recommend because you don't know him. So you imagine that recommendation, something within your own choice, is something which I'm opposed to. The fittest of the persons should be elevated as judges, not the person whom you know.
But then who decides who's the fittest to be, let's say, a High Court judge or a Supreme Court justice? Who decides this? The government. And if the government decides, it is said that how will you ensure that the judges are then not dependent on the government or beholden to the government?
See, in the present system, government does the due diligence based on the reports and other informations which we have, which the judges don't have. We have the Intelligence Bureau reports, we have the mechanism in place through my Department of Justice and other reports. So we carefully deal with all the issues and we come to the conclusion that government should agree to a particular name. It is not, easy to come to a conclusion for somebody to be elevated as a judge of Supreme Court. If I don't do due diligence, then I will be failing in my responsibilities. So that is why it is not only the government, it is not only the judiciary, but combined we can come together. That is what the National Judicial Appointment Commission talked about. That is Chief Justice of India, Law Minister, 2 senior judges and 2 eminent personalities. They come together and there will be names, there will be some kind of backup, there will be certain things on the basis of which you will pick up the names. So the system in place was appropriate. And now that has been struck down. Well, we are doing whatever is possible in the present system. Despite not being satisfied with the system, I have to carry forward unless we come out with alternative mechanism.
You used very strong words when you said, because your attack has been relentless. You said judges spend half their time appointing judges instead of delivering justice. Now this is, sir, an unprecedented, perhaps a frontal attack on top judiciary of our country.
See, across the globe, judges don't appoint judges. You know it. It is only in India, the judiciary has made this provision where judges are appointing the judges. Of course, government appoints it, but the names come from the collegium. When there is a provision of judges selecting the names, obviously they have to devote lots of times. You ask any of the senior judges in the high courts, how much time they have to devote in the entire selection process. And there are lots of politics. The politics, what we politicians do, is nothing in front of the politics which happens inside judiciary. It is not visible, but it's intense politics there. Because they are part of the selection process, so they have to involve in certain things which leads to lots of politicking there. So you tell me, judges should spend more time on delivering justice to the people, or they should be spending more time in administrative process? Anybody can say what should be done.
And yet it is not happening. So is there a logjam? Is there a deadlock? Do you have a roadmap for a solution?
See, what I am talking about is about the system. But I can also say that the judges are doing so much of works. Nowhere in the world any judge performs the amount of tasks and works which the Indian judges have to go through it. Each judge, whether a Supreme Court judge or High Court judge or even the subordinate courts, they deal with 50 to 60 cases every day.
Every day?
Every day.
50 cases
now,
every day.
I get lots of complaints that judges are going for holidays. Why judges should go for holidays 3 times a year and there are small puja breaks and all. Why judges should enjoy so much? But there I tell them, the amount of work which the Indian judges are doing, they need a break. Otherwise they will face breakdown. The judges are doing so much of work and they need time. If they are a human being, they are not machines. So that is why I have been always saying that judges should be confined to what is expected of them. They should not be involved into something else, which is not their jurisdiction actually. But the system has been such that we can't do anything at the present time.
Minister, when we see your attack, it's like one after the other. You know, जैसे Arjun धड़ एक के बाद एक तीर चला रहे हैं. You seem to be doing just that at the higher judiciary, because who else can tell the higher judiciary कि मर्यादा में रहे, लक्ष्मण रेखा में रहे. Whatever you may want to say it in a written order, not in oral observation.
See, some of my words may sound very harsh, but I can tell you, no judge has so far told me that, sir, what you are saying is wrong. Nobody. And I will not tell the names and all. We are in a democratic setup. Okay, India is a democracy. The sovereignty of the nation lies with the people of India. People of India govern themselves. People decide how to govern themselves. So people govern themselves through elected representatives. Who should run the country? Should judiciary run the country or the elected government? If judiciary gets into the executive domain, they venture out into the sphere where they are not supposed to. And some of the oral observations, which are very, very, widely reported in the media also, that these are the observations of the judges, which are not part of the order. There is a convention, and it is also being accepted by all, that a judge should speak through his judgment. Oral observations have no bearing in the set of things. So my advice to the judges is, don't come into a situation where you will invite criticism. Don't make unnecessary comments and observation. Whatever you have to do, do it through your order. And believe me, we are the government, very democratic, and we respect the judiciary, and we also believe in complete independence of judiciary. In last 8.5 years, Narendra Modi government, not a single step has been taken to undermine the authority of the judiciary. I firmly believe that independence of judiciary should be protected and promoted.
But be that as it may, if you're saying that the Narendra Modi government believes in independence of judiciary and you want to do away with the collegium system, wouldn't the independence of judiciary be compromised?
Not at all. See, Constitution is the supreme book which guides all of us. So there are 3 organs in our state: executive, legislature, and judiciary. Now, if judiciary starts framing the rules, if judiciary starts deciding where the road is to be built, if judiciary gets into the services rules, what are government for? In the COVID time in Delhi High Court, a bench directed that there should be a committee of experts to run the COVID affairs. Then we told the Solicitor General, please inform the court, this is none of your business. You can't do that. It is the government who is in the best position to take care of the challenges, whatever is coming before us. We have to be very clear. Constitution is very clear. If we follow the spirit of the Constitution, this tough war, what so-called battle of supremacy, there's no space for that. We are very clear about it. Did you see that I get into any judiciary work? I don't. Law Minister is there to assist the judiciary so that Indian judiciary becomes robust. And the numbers of cases which are pending, you just counted the figures. These are the biggest worry for me as the Minister for Law and Justice, when a person is waiting for 20 years, 25 years to get the date. Is it not a thing worrisome for me?
But what is the solution? So you're worried. Are you going to appoint more judges? Are you going to, there was a proposal to increase the age group, the age limit of judges, that they can serve till longer age. Is that happening?
No, we are not increasing the tenure of the judges. I think 65 for Supreme Court and 62 for high courts is okay. If any decision is to be taken, that can happen when it happens, but right now there's no plan as such. But that is not the moot question. The larger question is disposal of the cases. This is nothing to do with age. And about the vacancy and all, people have this misconception that due to large vacancies of the numbers of judges, there are pending of the cases. These are actually not true. As I said, I don't want to be very academic. If I start explaining all the reasons, it will be a little boring. But what I'm saying is, we are getting into the real issue in terms of delivering faster justice to the people. So access to justice, that is the key. As a large country like India, being the largest democracy, more than 1.3 billion population, it is Herculean task to ensure that everybody gets easy justice. But what we are doing, in some seminar and all, I can definitely spell out the things which we are doing. I'm telling you, my target is that along with the judiciary, we will ensure that not only the pendency is reduced, but the justice delivery system will be much faster than what it is right now.
But since you took over about a year and a half ago, yes. From 4 crore, the pendency has gone up to 5 crore. So, what do you intend doing if cases are piling up and they're not being, addressed adequately? What do you need? Do you need mediation system? Do you need alternate mechanism? Is that what you're looking at?
We are looking at this thing with very, clear thought of mind. We want to do certain things which are very clear. Number one, when I took over the responsibility, the total pendency was 4.3 crore. Now it has come to 4.9 crore, close to 5 crore. If you look at the numbers of cases, more than half of the cases do not deserve to be listed actually. You tell me, why should Supreme Court involve themselves into bail petitions? Every bail is going to Supreme Court. Is it Supreme Court of India been made to hear the bail petitions? Bail petitions are to be dealt by the lower courts. Very limited cases should come to High Court. Forget the Supreme Court. Why should Supreme Court deal with the bail petitions? Unless it is a death penalty or something serious cases.
But if an individual is not getting bail, let's say from a lower court or even from High Court, where else does the individual go?
It should be dealt with the lower court only. Why should Supreme Court deal with the bail petitions? Secondly, why every case is to be listed, tell me. There are many cases which are frivolous. Some of the PILs, public interest litigation is okay. But it becomes a personal interest litigation, then the court has to decide that this is not worthy of being taken up and listed. So that is why more than half of the cases, judiciary has to decide that these are not worthy of being listed as valid cases. They are getting into something, I don't know why everything has to go to court.
So what is this alternate mechanism that you're looking at? Point one. Point two, do you need more high courts, more benches of the high court? Do states need, maybe a Supreme Court for the south, maybe a Supreme Court for the east or the west?
See, these are larger issues which we are deliberating on it. But last year, within 1 year, we appointed record numbers of high court judges. When I took over, the vacancy was close to 500 vacancies in the high courts. Now the vacancy is only 326. At no given time, the pendency can go below 200 because the process is such that vacancy will remain. Because the collegium system and the manner in which it is dealt with, it will definitely leave some, 20% vacancies at all the time. Now the other issues which you have mentioned about the alternative dispute resolution mechanism is, we are a nation which we have a rich tradition. Many cases can be dealt at the local level, community level. Now if you look at the mediation bill which I have tabled, I am very hopeful that in the coming winter session we should be able to pass the mediation. I am telling you, in the India Today platform, large numbers of cases can be handled through mediation. And we want young lawyers to become good mediators. And mediators can be anybody who are qualified. We have certain criteria. A community leader, a person who's well versed with the local system. Mediation has been started, since ancient time. It's not a new thing for India. So lots of issues should go to mediation. Other contractual, other business cases should go to arbitration. Only limited cases should come to the regular courts. There are certain things which we are working out. I am in regular consultation with the senior judges of the Supreme Court, and I am also in consultation with the High Court judges. And frequently, you ask any of the senior judges, we are meeting frequently, we are discussing frequently, and we are working together.
Sir, recently in Kevadia, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was speaking about Azadi Ka Amrit Kal and spoke of law being accessible to all Indians. Are you looking at a system where law is accessible in regional languages? Because why should cases only be argued in English in higher judicial?
There are two issues when we talk about law and the justice system itself. Now, law is equal for everyone. I give you an example. Why everybody goes to a more renowned lawyer? Or why some of the lawyers charge very high fees, exorbitant fees. Some of the lawyers, they charge 30 lakhs, 40 lakhs per hearing. Can common man afford these fees? Does that mean that who pays more gets better justice? Does that mean some of the lawyers who charge high fees are better access to the judges? Are some lawyers who speak better language? Some of the lawyers who has a better command about English can deliver faster justice? You have to think about it. Justice is all about presenting the facts and then get the justice from the judges. In the high courts, tell me in Andhra Pradesh, why not Telugu be the colloquial language for the court? In Maharashtra, why not Marathi? Why not Assamese in Assam? So the colonial mindset has gripped all over our head. People think that you can speak better English, you can get better justice. I want the courts should be accessible to everyone from everywhere. Supreme Court of India is a Supreme Court of India. It is not a Supreme Court of Delhi. So if the lawyers who are staying in Delhi are only getting better access to Supreme Court, then we have to think about it. Now Supreme Court is going live streaming. Some of the high courts have gone live streaming. I have told them, politicians, we have to go back to the people every 5 years. If people give us mandate, we will serve the society. People don't give us mandate, we will stay in opposition. Judges don't face election, but judges are being watched. The judges are also being scrutinized closely now. That is why some of the high courts, I have already requested the Chief Justice, please allow the lower courts to argue in local court. We have technology, instant translation is there. Why not? And very soon, I am of the opinion that in Supreme Court also, we should create the provision for the translation, and lawyers must be allowed to argue in their comfortable local dialects and languages.
Interesting. Sir, the government is also seen as the biggest litigant. So when you say number of cases need to be reduced, why does the government file so many cases if you want to reduce the number of cases?
No, this is a critical question which you are asking. Suppose if an officer do not take a position, then the court should not also summon him. Courts only say that why did not the particular officer act? So with a fair, every officer wants that any adverse decision should be appealed. We give protection to the officers if you do good work. But if the courts question on every action or inaction, then what will officers do? They will always put up the file before the minister saying that, sir, we must appeal this case.
So shouldn't there be a mechanism to deal with this so that the government doesn't
See,
become the biggest litigant in the country?
We have a strong mechanism. We have a litigation policy. Ever since Modi ji took over, the inter-ministerial consultations are happening at much faster intervals. We are working together. And also, we have passed certain directions, for example, for finance ministry. Similar cases should not be appealed. Once there is a similar case, then it should be stopped completely. I have also had many times had a consultation with other ministries also, and we are very clear that government being a party to almost half of the cases pending, I think that also should come down, and government has to take certain drastic measures.
What changes are you bringing to the sedition law? Because is it time for this law to go, or do you want to bring changes to it, and what changes?
We told the Honorable Supreme Court that government is thinking about changing the provision of sedition law. Despite that, the Supreme Court struck down the provisions of the sedition law. I was very upset about it. These are the matters which really upsets me. If we are adamant on any subject, we are not listening to the judiciary, then judiciary can come down heavily. When we have already stated that we are taking a review, we will come back with a better provision. This is all provisions of law, which we are re-looking into it. Despite that, if the pronouncement comes from the court, definitely it is not a good thing. That is why I reacted that time also. There is a Lakshman Rekha for everybody. Let us not cross the Lakshman Rekha in the interest of the nation.
Sir, आप इतने तीर, and archery is one of your favorite sport, I'm told. आपने इतने तीर जुडिशरी की तरफ चलाए और फिर एकाएक वो दिशा मोड़ दी पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू की तरफ, and you accused पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू of blunders in Kashmir. ये sudden change of direction कैसे हुआ?
देखिए, ये कोई change नहीं है, and I have not stated something out of blue. I have just quoted whatever Nehru ji spoke in the Constituent Assembly. Those records in the Parliament of India and some of the letters which he had written, these are all documents of very important, nature. These are documents which we cannot just throw away. If I have quoted something out of that Nehru's records, then how am I distorting the history? If the Congress party do not believe Nehruji's own words, I don't have any authority to force Congress party to believe Nehruji. But I, as a citizen of this country, has every right to quote the former Prime Minister of India. Has I added even one comma, full stop, anything? No. I have plainly quoted Jawaharlal Nehru. I don't know why Congress has the problem of even accepting to the first Prime Minister of India who belongs to the Congress party only.
But you think, and you're of the view that what you've called his blunders, they continue to cost us in Kashmir, and Article 370 or the action that the government has taken on Article 370 has reversed some of those blunders?
It is very clear before the nation. I don't want to really get into the debate right now, but it is a fact that Kashmir faces a challenge. People of Jammu and Kashmir are living in a situation which is very unlike the rest of the country. There are blunders which were committed. Now, after the removal of Article 370, we have corrected. That leads to reaping the... Definitely start some proactive steps to ensure that judges are not blatantly criticized openly in press or in social media. But again, coming to the first initial point, if judges are getting into the administrative mechanism, then they cannot insulate themselves from the criticism. And if a judge is making comments out of the context, definitely it will lead to criticism. If you are speaking more as an observation than a judicial order, then you will receive criticism. So that is up to the judiciary. As a law and justice minister, it is my duty to remind the judiciary, because I have also bound a duty to protect the interests of Indian judiciary and the judges also. I always defend in parliament, you must have heard. If the members of parliament are harsh on judiciary, I am the one to tell, let us not be harsh on judiciary and the judges, because they are also part of the system and they can't speak like us freely. So let us not take advantage and attack them freestyle type. We will protect the judiciary. We will protect the judges.
Okay, last question, sir. How do you then address this issue? Is there, as of now, a standoff? Judiciary says we will not let go of the collegium system, and you are saying, is NJAC the way out, or you're looking for a middle ground?
I don't want to make another headline, but what I want to say is, Constitution is very clear. If you read the provisions of Constitution, who appoints the judges? It's the President of India who appoints the judges of High Courts and Supreme Court in consultation with the Chief Justice of India. That is the Constitution. Constitution is supreme book. We could have come back after Supreme Court struck down the NJAC. We could have come back, but we respected the Supreme Court and we did not act immediately. But that doesn't mean that we will be silent forever. But we don't want to show anything which will portray us into a situation where there is a confrontation with the judiciary and government is not in term with judiciary. We are in good term with judiciary. I am speaking out very openly, but the judges know very well that this law minister is not against judiciary or judges. We are actually part of the same team. We are three different organs of the same state. And when we go out for judicial awareness, for legal aids, legal camp, we go together. And I say as a law minister and the judges, we go together. It is a message that justice cannot only be delivered from the courtroom, but justice can be delivered by going to the people, and justice at the doorstep of the people is possible. That is my approach.
Minister, for joining us here on this India Today special. Many thanks. You have a battle at your hands, but I see Arjun की तरह आपकी निगाह सीधा मछली की आंख पर है. Wish you all the best. वैसे आपकी favorite ministry, you know, I've interviewed you when you were Minister for Home, MOS Home, then Sports Minister, and now here. Which is the ministry which remains your favorite?
No, actually, there's a collective responsibility. So we are dealing with everything together only, except a particular thing we are not dealing with or coming into other ministry. But in the cabinet, we discuss everything collectively. So if the sports persons come to me, I just tell them that I want to meet more often, but I'm so occupied in the other work, so very rarely I get time, but I still meet them. Even the officers, when I was in the home ministry, every weekend I was in border area or in some training center and all. I used to live with them. They come and meet me. Those who are DIG or they have become DG now. I meet them. Even the Jawans, I meet them often. The sports person, everybody, those who are playing for India, winning medals, they come to me with their medals. They want to show it to me that, sir, we got this medal for the country. This is basically a connection. So wherever I am, we are, as a team, we are concerned, and we will be always concerned for everything, not only the issues related to the ministry which is allotted to me.
Okay. For joining us here on India Today, Minister, many thanks. May I request you all to put your hands together for the 43rd Law and Justice Minister of India, Kiren Rijiju.
Thank you so much, Minister. Thank you, Gaurav. Please do stay on stage for a moment. Could I request Raj Changappa to come up and felicitate the Minister on our behalf?